Hello, I'm Yvette Kanatzer of Plain Speaking Ministries, and I want to offer you some encouragement in this time of turmoil. Perhaps as a Christian, you feel like you should be that voice, you should be that example of trusting in the Lord, but you feel as panicked and as afraid, as out of control as the next person. But yet maybe you've been giving it a good effort. Maybe you've been posting scriptures on social media. Maybe you've been, giving posts that we should be trusting in the Lord and, the Lord is our healer. Maybe you've been saying all of those encouraging things, and it's not wrong to say them and to write them. But maybe in your own mind, in your own heart, in the privacy of your home, you feel as bad as everyone else, as afraid as the next person. I want to encourage you that this might not be the time to be a warrior, but this might be a time for you to be a child. And what I mean by that is being a warrior is fighting the good fight. You're using your words to battle it out, against this evil. You're trying to your best with everything you've got to encourage others. But at the same time, it feels like it's a losing battle because in your heart, you are terrified. You feel out of control. You feel like you're no help, but you're trying your best. You keep going. In fact, you might feel so afraid and you think the best way to keep ahead of that fear and to not give in to it is to fight. But this might not be a warrior situation. This may be that child situation. What I mean by that is, and excuse that noise if you can hear it. What I mean by that is you turn to the Lord and you get real and honest with Him. First of all, I want to say, when your heart does not back up your words, you are closing your heart. When you are panicked inside and you feel like you're just as terrified as everyone else on the inside, but you're just saying words trying to keep ahead of that. It's almost like you're in a race to keep ahead of all the fear that you feel. In doing that, you're closing your heart against the help. Because that is a warrior activity when you need to be a child in that time. In that time when there's unsettled feelings in your heart, that is a child time. I just realized that too. That's really good. When your heart is unsettled, but you're saying, you're making all these confessions, you're saying all the right things, you're encouraging people, you're giving them scripture, the scripture is true, and you're just like firing it out there, but inside you're just a mess. That means it's a child time. And what I mean by it's a child time, that means you stop all of the stuff, you stop everything, and you turn into your heart to God, and you start getting real with Him. Lord, I am scared. This situation feels like more than I can handle. And I feel like I'm holding on by the skin of my teeth, Lord. And you just start to talk to Him and be real with Him. The very act of doing that is opening your heart. Being honest with the Lord where you are emotionally or where you are in your heart, where you think you are in your heart. The very act of doing that is an opening of your heart. And when you open your heart, the Lord can then flow through you. He can get His peace to you. He can get His comfort to you. And in addition to that, He can get it to start flowing through you to others. When you open your heart to the Lord, He can flow to you and He can flow out from you, and He can heal the nations. But that whole process begins as a child situation. A child situation because you need your Father to resettle you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the Lord reminding you of how much you can trust Him. In fact, He wants to do that. He wants to remind you, even if it's every day, even if it's several times a day. He wants to remind you of how much He loves you. And every person needs that reminder. That is a child time when you turn into him, when you turn in toward him in your own heart and allow him to minister peace and joy to you. And that is what will settle your heart in this time where everyone can be out of control, wild and scared and panicked, but you can be calm. Just because you're a Christian, you don't automatically just have all this peace and trust in the Lord. You don't. It's in opening your heart and letting him teach you what it means to be that way. He teaches you. And sometimes he'll reteach you and reteach you and reteach you and remind you and remind you again and again and again. And it's okay, because that's how he works, and it's all right. It's all right. So be encouraged. Be encouraged in this time. If you want to feel better, if you want to feel less panicked, more peace, less fear in this troubling time, turn to the Lord. And turning to the Lord with the faith of a little child, trust me, he will do it. He will fix things for you. And when he does, and when you allow him to do that for you, then you can then be a blessing to someone else. And before you know it, if we're all doing that, then we'll heal the nations. And this nonsense will dissolve and go away. If we all do that, if we all turn to the Lord in our own hearts and let him teach us how not to be afraid, then he can flow out of us and minister healing to the world. So be encouraged. Be encouraged. Don't get down on yourself if you're afraid and you've been trying your best to look brave and look strong and do the right thing as a Christian. Don't get down on yourself. Just turn to the Lord. Talk to the Lord in your own heart, and you'll open up your heart to him, and then he'll begin to flow in that joy and that peace and that, just calm in the midst of a storm. It'll be real. It'll be real because it'll be something that the Lord ministered to you, and you can then be able to minister to someone else with the power flowing. Thanks for watching.